Okay, it is 7 o'clock.
I need 20 seconds. Okay, the time is 7 o'clock. It is December 2nd, 2021, and we are calling the work study group relative to the police commissioners to order. And we are in the Aldermanic Chamber as well as available via Zoom teleconference. The Zoom meeting link can be found in the agenda and on the city's website. We're gonna start off with a roll call vote.
All right, Alderwoman at large, Kelly,
I'm here.
Alderman Dowd,
Present.
Eva Castillo, Nicholas Dahl is present, Mary Lou Blaisdell,
She's unable to attend this evening.
Mark Brave,
Here via Zoom.
Kendra Smith, Deb Novotny,
Here.
Kerry Baxter.
Here via Zoom.
Ah, Kerry, thank you for
Kerry.
joining us.
Yeah.
Also present is Alderman Wilshire.
And you are here as well.
Huh?
You're here as well.
Oh, I got me, I did.
I didn't hear. Okay, great. Also in attendance, do we have anybody? I'm going to, you guys said that. Okay. We'll start off the meeting with public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? There's no one in the chamber that I see, and I don't see anyone online. Okay, so what we have before us this evening is, we agreed at the last meeting that we would bring together some recommendations and kind of put the final touches on it here. Give me a second and I will get my screen shared. Alderman Harriet Gathright joined us via Zoom. Hey Jeff, can you let me into the Zoom meeting? Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Okay. Just one audio. All right, so I have pulled together notes, including some of the stuff that was in my previous presentation from last time, trying to get us a draft that we could all talk through this evening. I know that many of the committee members shared some of the recommendations that they would like to see. So I'll just share what I have put together, and I think we should focus on the recommendations that we'd like to make sure get in here. So I'm still filling in some of this stuff, but just like I started with some background, we'll list out the members, summarizing the methodology, which we had in the previous one, just about, you know, meeting, how often we were meeting, who we wanted to talk to, including the questions that we came up that initial meeting, and then a list of the meetings that we planned to have, the ones that we did have, and who attended. And then I have this piece down here that we're gonna work on. So, this is just my, my own brain dump here, but wanting to come up with a few bullets here that we feel really strongly about. We have a summary that was included in the packet. Did everyone get this? If you didn't, I can pass it on. Sorry about that. Thank you. This is just a summation of notes that were shared to Donna, so that we could come into this meeting and have a working session. So I think I'll open it up to the group. I know that we kind of know some of the things we want, but I want to just hear from everybody what we think should be in here. We can start filling in the bullets. Who wants to go first? Everybody's quiet. Go ahead, Alderman Dodd.
Chairman.
Yeah, I do think it's a good idea to have how you apply to be a police commissioner, probably two places. One, it ought to be on the police commissioners or the police website, and probably on the city's website somewhere, or a link to it.
If everyone's okay, I'm gonna do shorthand, I'll clean this up and then we can share it. So we're saying, I think one of the things we all kind of agreed was that we wanna have a place where people can come to find out how they could apply, some transparency, et cetera. So you're, Alderman Dodd, just to clarify, you're saying that it should be in more than one place?
Well, at least there should be a link from the city, because somebody goes on the city's website to look for it. There should be a link that would take them over to wherever it's located.
And then the second piece you were saying,
What? Police commissioner's website?
yes.
Yeah.
So some of the notes we have, like, there are certain things we wanted to make sure we include, like responsibilities, right, we said responsibilities, qualifications we had talked about. Go ahead, Alderman Dodd.
Yeah, maybe instead of responsibilities, do they have an existing job description?
Job description's interesting. Is there one, do you know?
On the website, no, whether it even exists or not. This might be the language from
Is there a job description for Alderman on the website?
There's a definition, I don't know if it's a,
This is a definition in the city charter, right?
In the charter, yeah.
in the charter.
What we can and can't do.
Yeah, yeah, okay. We had talked about the list of current commissioners and potentially when their seats were up.
Shoshana, that's on both websites right now. If you go to the city
Okay.
website, it's
So
there,
it's
and
not-
if you go to the police website, the list and a little bit of background and their dates.
Would it be helpful to pull up what's currently there? Good.
I didn't find, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I could do it. You said it's on the Nashua.
It's on both.
It's on both?
Yeah.
Google it. I'll see if I can find it. All right. So that, we don't need that because it's already there. One of the other recommendations that came through in the notes that we got, was whether or not affiliation should be on there. Do you know if it's on there now? Party affiliation?
I didn't see it. Nick, that is part of the qualification?
My understanding is that, yeah, you can't have more than two from the same party. And, you know, I don't know if all of us are undeclared or not. Probably not. Probably at least one is in a party. But I know I'm undeclared.
Yeah, that, can I say?
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, it has to be, can't be more than two from one party. So regardless of who's on there now, even, there must be somebody who's a Republican or Democrat, because they can't all be the same, all be undeclared. That's my understanding of it.
That was my understanding as well, yeah.
And I know there were comments back and forth of whether that should or shouldn't be out there, and Kerry actually gave the reason why it should, and I know she's on Zoom if she wants to.
Yeah, Kerry, did you want to speak to that? I know, go ahead. I saw you come off
Yep.
mute. I'll let you talk.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking that it might be good to have that on there, because that way somebody would know if they're able to go through the process based upon their party affiliation and who is currently serving as commissioners in their party.
Yeah, I see a lot of head nods
Yeah,
in
good
the,
point.
in the chamber. But, you know, if we're bringing transparency to like, oh, can I even apply, knowing whether or not you would qualify for that seat makes the most sense to know.
Right, and I think it would also, you know, if someone were to apply and then they weren't eligible, it could bog down the process. So I just think, you know, to your point with transparency and just to sort of make things flow a little bit faster and simpler, it might be a good idea.
Yeah, okay. I also had the idea of like, where do you even start? Like, who do you talk to if you want to apply? That came up a few times.
Should we also list the RSAs involved?
Maybe we could. Do you know what they are off the top of your head, Rick?
No.
This is okay, this is a working document, I'll clean it up and make sure everyone looks at it, before we finalize it, but RSAs that apply. What else? This says any link to state forms and the background process. I have no idea whose notes these are, but, that was one of the bullets that was sent along. Does anyone know what that was there, or who? Okay. Hoping for someone on the Zoom knows what this, yeah, Carrie, go ahead, thanks, I didn't know if that was yours or not. Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, I had included that some of the information on the website should include some of the basic requirements for the position, the duties and responsibilities, the nomination process, and a link to any forms. I'm assuming that there must be some type of form or something like that that one would have to fill out, but I could be wrong. And what the background process consists of. So that was just some of the information that I think would help guide people along and also give them sort of an idea of what is going to be expected.
Well, it's funny because some of these things are kind of hand in hand, right? Background process, having the background check is part of the process, but it also is a qualification.
Correct. One would have to
Pass the
presumably pass a background
Yes.
investigation, but you know, there could be some people who may not understand that that's part of the process. So I just think having that information out in front is a good idea.
See, I just trailed off into random thoughts, and now I'm making bullets. So we have responsibilities a couple of times, qualifications, which we've said define, and I think we can define them a little bit broadly, but also as they are defined by the RSAs, like you had recommended, Alderman Dowd. I'm gonna put that on the same line. What else? Everyone's quiet. It's okay.
Madam Chair, I have my hand up. Can I speak?
Sorry, yes, I'm looking at a document and Zoom at the same time, so I apologize that I missed your hand. Go ahead, Alderman, Kerry Baxter, and then I see you, Kerry, afterwards.
Okay, I think at one point, in one of the meetings, if I understood this correctly, so correct me if I'm wrong, but currently right now, if the governor receives an application, if he chooses not to forward it, he does not forward it. So there's always that possibility that the executive council doesn't know that someone has actually applied for the position. Now, do folks remember that conversation?
I know that I personally remember it. I don't know how much we
Okay.
can influence
So-
that. I think it's at his pleasure. I mean, I don't know that he can.
So that's that's why I'm bringing that forward. Because whether it's an RSA or something like that that needs to be identified, or some type of check and balance, okay? Because supposedly the check and balance is the executive council. So I just want to I feel as though the check and balance is not there. So I'm not sure how that could be remedied, but I do think that's a concern.
So it's interesting, and I think, you know, this commission has definitely, or this work study group has definitely talked about it, and one of the things we talked about at the last meeting, I don't believe you were there, was like, is there a way to bring some of that process out in the open, have the personnel committee pre-vet these people? But there was, again, the concern that again is, you know, local politicians being influencing the process. So I'm open to ideas. I think it is a piece of it that we did try to get information on and we didn't hear from the governor's office, or I don't know what, authority we have. There's lots of hands up. Alderman Deb, go ahead.
Yeah, I talked to Corporation Counsel. We can't tell the governor what to do. And we can't make any changes to the RSA. That can only be done by people sitting in Concord.
Yep. I understand that, that's my point, that is there something there that talks to that or speaks to that? And if not, maybe it's something that committee could look at.
Alderman Mosher, did you still want to speak?
I had the same response that Alderman Dow did.
Okay.
We have really no authority
Yeah, yeah.
to change that. Only if we only knew a state rep.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, and Kerry, before I go on, you had your hand up, but I don't know if the time passed, or if you're, go ahead.
That may have just been from before,
Oh,
or
okay.
I hit it accidentally, so I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, one of the things, Alderman Gathright, that we've been working on is just bringing some more transparency. There was a lot of discussion around, oh, well, you know, none of the aldermen ever even, you know, put my name forward to the governor, that kind of thing. So I think we're hoping that having some more transparency about how you even apply can help with some of that.
I would agree.
I would add that I think it's done differently by different governors. I will say that I know the mayor said I applied 10 times, which is absolutely false. My name came up twice. The first time it came up, Councilor Pignatelli took my resume, but she did not support me. And that was after the governor had indicated a willingness for me to be considered. But Councilor Pignatelli put a stop on it. So a year later, when my name came up again, it was a different counselor, and the governor was still willing to have me do it. It was still Governor Hassan. But the counselor at that time was supportive of it. So, you know, it can be either the counselor that stops it or the governor. And I think that's at the governor's discretion, right?
Right, so that goes back to, I guess, my question with the governor. If the governor said no, would the council have known that?
I'm not sure.
It was, and I'll reflect to this room because we've had multiple discussions over the past month. My understanding is that not necessarily, unless he chooses to bring it forward, is the only time that you might know who's brought their resume forward.
Again, I think if a rep brought up legislation to change the RSA to insist that the governor release the names that he sends to the executive board, that then he'd have to.
Can we include that in our recommendation? I mean, they're just recommendations. That the
Right.
RSA be
Well, I was
more
thinking
clear.
before, if you wanted to make any recommendations to the state reps on the Board of Aldermen, you could do that, but the action then becomes theirs.
Right.
What does everyone think about including something like that as a recommendation? Alderman Wiltshire.
I don't think we should, because there's nothing we can do. I mean, we can't enforce it, we can't do anything with it. It seems like if that is an issue, that it has to be taken up at the state level, not at the city level, unfortunately.
Yeah, it probably shouldn't be a result of this, but, you know, the reps know what's going on, and
We can have a separate discussion about that. Kendra, I see that you've joined us. We'll make sure that is noted in the record, and I see your hand up.
Yes, so I kind of agree with Linda Gathright. When we're looking for transparency, I mean, I think that kind of points to why a lot of people were kind of looking for it to be local control, because if the governor is the person that's at the top and he's the one that pretty much tosses an application into the trash before anybody even sees it, what's the point? There could be somebody who's great for that position, but they're not even being seen. So, I mean, that brings it back to a popularity contest. He gets to pick and choose his friends. That's how I feel about that. So, I mean, I think we should try to put that RSA in there, at least as a recommendation. I don't think we should just say no, because I feel like people voted and there was a significant amount of people who voted yes. So, I mean, we have to kind of, look at that too. People want to know what the process is and how it's done. And if we're just going to say, if whatever sitting governor is in there can just say, you know what, I don't even think anybody needs to see this application. I mean, I just don't think that that's fair to the people in Nashua for somebody in Concord to have that much control over something that's local.
Are you all set, Kendra?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I hear you, and there are parts of me that agree with you, and I think the transparency that we're looking for 100%, that's a hard thing, but we also are a body in Nashua that is, we really can only do the things that we can do in Nashua. And oftentimes the things that happen at the state level really do tie our hands in terms of, what we can and can't do outside of this, this whole issue. So I would love to have the conversation. I don't know what us putting a recommendation in here will do for the governor's office. Other thoughts, recommendations? Alderman Wilshire. Sorry, I'm trying to type in.
Well, no, I'm looking at your third bullet down that says the Nashua voters voice strong opposition on election day to any change in appointment for the police commission and to any change of the number of commissioners. Therefore, I recommend no changes.
Yeah, this is, so the notes that you're referring to is kind of a collaboration of everybody. Yeah. So I think we as a group have to decide if there's conflicting thoughts there. We have to decide which one we feel most strongly about, but I did put that as a first bullet. I have, they felt strongly the commission is appointed should remain the same, and the voters said that. And then even beyond that, the common theme was that they wanted more transparency in how someone puts their name forward, what makes a qualified commissioner, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that's where this website piece that we're recommending can be the most helpful. And I think also just the community conversations we've had already.
Yes, I agree. What I think is that putting suggestions or recommendations out there that we can't control or can't do anything about doesn't do anything. It's feel-good legislation or feel-good recommendations that, we have no control over. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the simpler we keep it, the better, because most of what's happening, the voters have spoken, I mean, most of what's happening is that people don't like at this point are state issues, not city issues.
Thank you, Alderman Wilshire. Kerry, I see your hand up again. Hoping it's on purpose this time.
Yes, it is. I will say I'm in agreement with the first bullet point. I think it's pretty specific and short and to the point. Secondly, I don't know if we can put somewhere or ask the Nashua Police Department to put just some information out there where they welcome individuals with diverse backgrounds to apply, and that somehow that information gets communicated up to Concord, both on behalf of Nashua Police Department and the City of Nashua, the Aldermen, that individuals with diverse backgrounds, provided they are citizens in good standing, meet requirements, will add value to the commission, and will support the mission of the Nashua Police Department.
Can you write that down? That was very well written. And I can get it in the notes, but I was like, that was perfect, and I missed it all.
It was sent in, so you should be able to just cut and paste it from something that got emailed in.
Yeah, that's what's slash one. Diverse backgrounds are provided in good standing.
Oh, yeah, I see it, right there, look at that. Okay, yeah, I will pop that in, I agree with that.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna write myself a note that says pull from, so we don't have to sit here while I clean this up. Yeah, I thought that's a good point, because I know that came up multiple times, and one of the reasons that was that it was brought forward, at least what we were told, was that they would like to see more women and more people of color, so I think that's a good thing to include personally. Go ahead.
The only change that I would make, or the only, not necessarily a change, but the Nashua Police Department should advocate, it seems like it should be Nashua should advocate, like citizens of Nashua, and not necessarily the police department trying to advocate, or the, you know, that it just should be, a focus should be made for the addition of commission members with diverse backgrounds.
Maybe even as a welcoming city,
Some, just to
or,
more,
you know,
make that
something
a
like
little,
in that
you know,
realm,
yeah, more inclusive, and not just the police department advocating.
Okay. I'm gonna pick this up. The other piece that we talked about, and I heard Alderman Dowd say both is great, but I think there were some varying decisions about, do we think it should be on a city site? Do we think it should be on the police department site? Should it be in both places? How do we feel about that?
Go ahead. I think, go ahead.
Do you mind if I let Deb?
No,
finish and
no,
then I'll go to you?
please do.
Right now, it is on both. And I don't know if there's a way to mirror on both, because I think some people will go to the city website, some people will go to the police department, and sometimes links don't work as well as they should, so even, you know, either a really clear link to the page that you just go to the city website and you know, you link directly one way or the other, or have it the same information on both sites. So it doesn't matter where someone ends up looking for it, they get the
The same
information they need.
information, yeah, that makes
I
sense.
don't know if we follow ISO rules, but there's only one valid place where it should be located, and that's why you have links to it. Because if you have two things that contradict each other, which one's right? So you have one place that has it the way it should be, including any changes they make, and you have links to get to it. If the links don't work, that's an IT issue that
Okay.
should be solved.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alderman Dowd. Having two mirrored pages can create issues if changes are made to one but not the other. So linking is probably the better way to do this. How do we do it now? I'm trying to find it. I'll find out right now. This is the description, but it's not linked. It doesn't look like it's linked.
No, but, well, there is a link to the police department as well from that main page.
This page right here?
No, that one, where we were before.
Just generally to the police department?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what we're saying is that this page should link to the police commission page that's on the Nashua Police Department page. Yes? I'm gonna be very clear. I'll put it like that. Again, my notes, I apologize. I'm not a typist. I'll get it cleaned up and everyone will approve before it gets published. Anything else? See if I hit on all of the bullets here. Terms, mission, process, qualifications. Yep. Okay. Yep, I have that. And then I have this piece about the diversity. Anything else from the committee that you feel is missing or needs to be in here?
If it's formal recommendations from the committee, somebody should sign it.
Yeah, so my plan was, so I'll go back to the top here. I was trying to just bucket out what it would look like. I was gonna put the background, why this happened, why, you know, how long we did. I'll put a little bit about the fact that it ended up being on the ballot and that it came back, so that'll be background. I'll list out us as group members. Methodology is really just about how often we met, what do we talk about, and then the notes from that document I had shared last meeting that has links specifically to the meetings that we had, who we talked to, what was the, overall discussion summary, but people can find it if they would like to pull. If we want to get really geeky, because I'm a geek, we could make an appendix with agenda links and all of that, but I was always the
When you're
overachiever.
done with it, you should probably send it to all the committee members and have them read it.
That was my thinking, and then I'd love to get it on city letterhead or whatever the appropriate thing would be to finish it off. Alderman Wilshire.
Can I recommend?
Sure.
Okay, so since I appointed the committee, I think what the committee should do is send that back to me as the president and the Board of Aldermen, and we can accept it, as a communication and keep it on file. So, I mean,
Okay.
it seems to be the way it should go. We can copy the mayor and the city attorney and the police department.
We haven't done too many formal votes, but I do think that if we all feel pretty confident in most of the pieces here, I'd love to just get a vote from everyone that we're feeling good with this draft. We'll clean it up, share it with everybody, and then we'll be ready to go. I don't know what motion I just made. To accept the draft recommendations and allow some tightening so we can get this in front of the board. Can we call a roll on that, please?
Alderwoman at large Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Mark Brave.
Yes.
Kendra Smith.
Yes.
Deborah Novotny.
Yes.
Kerry Baxter.
Yes.
And Nick Dahl says yes.
Great. Okay, so we're gonna do some more typing and we'll get this in front of everybody. Before we close our final meeting in person, I just wanna say thank you to everyone for giving us their time. This was an important issue for the city, and I think we did a lot of really good work in just digging into the issue, letting the community, vet out what they were feeling and making sure that we put a fine point on this and get everyone into a place where they feel it's open and transparent, and we have great commissioners. We can continue to appoint great commissioners. So thank you everyone for participating and giving your time. I know it's precious. So with that, let me make sure I didn't miss anything on the agenda. Remarks by the committee other than me? Because I already gave mine. Anybody?
I'm not on the committee, but.
You can still give remarks. Go for it.
I'd like to thank you for taking the responsibility for this. I appreciate that. To Nick for clerking, and to all the people who we asked to volunteer, they stepped forward, and I appreciate every single one of you for stepping forward to work on this important issue. So thank you all.
Thank you, Alderman Wilshire.
Thank you to Alderman Wilshire for leading on this issue as well and seeing this as a valuable process to help get us to this point.
Okay. Anyone else? Any of my Zoom members want to weigh in? Carrie, are you off mute? Go for it.
Oop, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Mark.
Hi, I just want to say, this experience was refreshing in regards to this. I believe this is how all issues should be discussed. We had people give testimony on why they believe the process should stay the same. Residents that also said why it shouldn't, and we came to a conclusion. The voters voted, and like I said, I'm happy that I was a part of the process, and it was just refreshing to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Brave. Anyone else? Okay. Do I have a motion? Oh, can I have someone?
I'm going to let one of them make it.
Oh, yes.
Motion to adjourn.
The motion is to adjourn by roll call.
All right. Chairwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Nicholas Dahl says yes. Mark Brave,
Yes.
Kendra Smith,
Yes.
Deb Novotny,
Yes.
Kerry Baxter.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
7:35.